Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Swati Mishra from International School of Business Management at Suresh Gyan Bihar University, Jaipur. We will be continuing our sessions of project management. We have already studied as to, the what project management is. Moving ahead, we discussed multiple important introductory aspects of project management. And continuing them for a few sessions, we completed the first unit of project management. After that, we started with our second unit of project management, wherein we have already studied what is idea generation, what is idea screening, and in the previous chapter, I introduced you to the concept of project feasibility. And today we will be learning some detailed aspects of project feasibility analysis. So, when we talk about this project feasibility or feasibility analysis, I hope that all of you must be getting an idea out of the name itself that, in this uh, topic, we will be learning as to, how it is judged whether a project is feasible or not. Right. So, in the previous sessions, we have studied that, how we understand when different ideas are generated for projects, we understood that, how we find out which project is more suitable for any organization to be implemented and which one is not. And we also studied idea screening, where we had studied how, the project ideas are screened out and the best ones are kept separate, uh, so that, the organization can actually plan to work upon those ideas, right? So which means that out of the different ideas which are available to an organization, the best ones are then chosen to be worked upon. And then out of those best ideas, you have to decide as to which project idea is the most feasible one. So can any one of you tell me what would you consider a feasible project or feasible project idea? What is meant by this feasibility? Please raise your hands if anyone has any idea of what is project feasibility. Okay, Aman has raised his hand. Aman, would you please like to answer what is project feasibility?
Ma'am, project feasibility basically means like how much the project is suitable or the reasonable according to the business, like whether the project we are working upon will be fruitful for our organization in the future or not. It will be able to uh, provide the benefits of the provide the benefit to the organization in the key aspects areas or the concerns of the businesses.
Um, I would take it as an answer, but see, feasibility is not only the profitability testing of a project. Rather, it is more concerned with analyzing whether that project can be worked upon or not, whether it is economically feasible or not. Which means that, economically, whether the project is can be worked upon or not, whether it lies within the economic constraints of an organization or it goes beyond the budget of an organization, that no, it is very expensive to do this project and we just cannot do it. If there is anything like that, then it becomes very difficult for the organization to actually work upon that idea, right? Similarly, technical feasibility is also analyzed. Under technical feasibility, an organization will actually try to find out that, what are the technological constraints in that project, what kind of technology is required in that project for, you know, like if there is some latest technology is required to be brought in for the implementation of that project, and maybe the that technology is not available in that particular zone or area or the country where the project is supposed to be carried out, or maybe even if the technology is available but the employees who are working for the organization are not skilled enough to work upon that technology, then these are the technological constraints. So technological feasibility is also tested, technical feasibility, right? Then the economic, technological, uh, multiple different types of feasibility analysis are done, and then it is finally uh, found out whether the project can be taken up by the organization or not. So let us move ahead with the discussion and discuss in detail as to what is this feasibility analysis. So, as I said, that the first type of feasibility analysis that I want to discuss with you people is the economic feasibility. So, as I just said, that whenever a project is supposed to be implemented, you have to first find out that what is the economic feasibility of that project. So, by economic feasibility, what is meant is that you have to carry out a cost benefit analysis of that project, right? Which means that you have to identify all the financial benefits and costs that are associated with that particular project. Once you find out what are the costs which are associated with that project, what are the benefits that are going to be reaped at the end when the project is completed, and whether the costs are getting covered properly or not while doing that project, and at the end the project is going to prove to be feasible enough. All these analysis have to be done while finding out the economic feasibility of that project. So there could be multiple different types of benefits and costs that are associated with a project. For that matter, you have to test you know the tangible versus intangible benefits, the tangible versus intangible costs, similarly one time versus the recurring costs. There could be multiple tangible benefits also. So you know how much of tangible benefits are associated in a project, how much of intangible benefits are associated with the project. So, tangible benefits, we could say the final profits that an organization is getting. You will say that, ma'am, profit is also intangible, but no, it is the cost that the money that an organization is going to earn, or the project that is going to earn once its completion is done. Whereas the intangible benefits could be, any kind of goodwill that an organization is reaping through that project, the CSR values that organization is adding, or other kinds of benefits that an organization might achieve. Other than the profits, the share value increments, if there is any hike in the share value of any organization after the completion of the project, then that could be also considered as a benefit, a tangible benefit, right? Similarly, there are multiple tangible versus intangible costs also. Intangible cost would be any kind of opportunity cost, harm of the goodwill, any kind of supplier relationship damages, right? These could be the intangible costs that an organization has to bear. Whereas tangible cost, you all know all the costs that are going to arise, all the expenditures that are going to arise while the project is going on up till the completion of the project. Then there are some costs which are one time costs, like you have to invest on land one time. But there are certain recurring costs, like you have to pay regularly to your HR, you have to pay regularly for the raw material. So that those are the recurring costs. So, on the basis of all these costs as well as the benefits which are associated with the project, you have to design a cost versus benefit analysis and find out whether it is going to be beneficial or profitable for an organization to carry out that project. If it proves after the analysis, it is proven that yes, the project is going to be highly beneficial for the organization and the costs that are incurred would be all covered up from the you know profits that are made, then you know the project can be declared as economically feasible. But if that is not happening, then you cannot declare project as being economically feasible. So I hope that all of you have understood what is economic feasibility analysis, what are the tangible versus intangible benefits, what are tangible versus intangible costs, and what are one-time versus recurring costs. So after you know why I have shown it on the screen, because these are the things on the basis of which you actually carry out your economic feasibility analysis, right? So let us move ahead now. After I have introduced you to the concept of economic feasibility. I just want to talk to you about what are the tangible benefits. Like there could be some tangible benefits for the custom of a customer tracking system that is being designed, and an example is given over here. You know, these are actually the benefits that can be measured in amount of the currency that is earned by an organization, any kind of liquid amount or non-liquid amount that is earned by the organization, and with certainty of earning it, right? So there is a small account statement also given to you, which you can see, like cost reduction or avoidance in 1 year, how they reduce the cost. So that is also a kind of benefit there that you earn if you are reducing the cost, because there is a very good saying that money saved is money earned. So if you are able to save any kind of money in your project, say you design a new methodology or technology through which lesser number of wasted human resource will be required, then you are actually saving a lot of money and reducing the cost. So that is an added benefit to the project. Then any kind of errors that are occurring while the project is being carried out, if you are able to reduce those errors, then that is also one form of benefit which is added to the organization. Because any kind of error that is occurred, or any kind of uh, what should I say, rejection that happens in the project ultimately leads to cost on the account of the project or the organization which is sponsoring the project. So if you are able to reduce those rejections or errors that are occurring, ultimately you are reducing the costs that are being arose on the account of the organization. Now, since you are reducing the cost, you are adding the benefits to the organization, right? Then, of course, any kind of increased flexibility in the project that is introduced, because of which the project becomes flexible enough to uh, accumulate any kind of change, sudden changes that are required by the organization, and you are able to make changes in any point of time or any stage of production. So that basically helps you to earn more profits, and that is why increased flexibility is also one form of tangible benefit. Similarly, any kind of increased speed of activity, like in production operation management, you all have studied that how the wasted movements of the human labor can be reduced when we were doing work study, when you were studying work study and time study. You people have actually thoroughly studied as to how you can reduce the wasted movements of wasted hand movements. You can reduce the time that is consumed, the lag time that is consumed while moving the raw materials from one machinery to the other, or any kind of excessive movements are there, then that can be reduced to curb down the total amount of time that is required in carrying out the production process. So that actually increases the speed of the activity with which different processes are carried out, the speed with which different processes and procedures are carried out. And once you are able to reduce that speed, ultimately you are actually able to increase the production per day, and you are also able to produce more units per day. So your efficiency, overall efficiency increases, right? And with the increase in the efficiency, it is very obvious that the organization is going to earn better profits, and that is actually a tangible benefit which is added to the organization. Similarly, any kind of improvement in management, planning, control, all these things also help you earn more profits, and more, you can generate more revenues out of them. So that is also a type of tangible benefit. So with this, I hope that I have made absolutely clear to all of you as to what are the tangible benefits which an organization earns. And this is highly important as far as your feasibility analysis of tangible versus intangible benefits are concerned. Right. So now we move ahead with the intangible benefits from the development of the information system, which was taken as the example in our previous slide. So obviously, the competitive necessity of the project is, highly beneficial and is a type of intangible benefit. Then more timely information that is dissipated is again a intangible benefit. Any kind of improved organizational planning, increased organizational flexibility, promotion of organizational learning and understanding, because that is also a very important aspect, or very important intangible benefit that is associated with any organization. It is highly important because it ultimately leads to the promotion of organization as being an organization which is very keen to develop learning and understanding with its human resource. So that is an intangible benefit. It actually improves the goodwill of the organization. Similarly, availability of new and better and more information, ability to investigate more alternatives of the project, faster decision making, information processing efficiency, improved asset utilization, improved resource control, increased accuracy in any kind of clerical operations that are done by installing latest computer systems and softwares for this, and then improved work process that can be used to improve employee morals, positive impacts on the society. So these are all the intangible benefits that can be earned, but they cannot be measured in dollars or with certainty, right? So as I said in the previous slide, that tangible benefits are the ones which can be measured very easily, and in maybe rupees or dollars or any other currency with certainty. But intangible ones cannot be easily measured in dollars, rupees, or any other currency, and with certainty you cannot measure them. So that is about the tangible and the intangible benefits of an organization. And now we will move ahead and discuss the type of costs that are associated with any project. So when we talk about the types of costs that are associated with any project, you know, there are multiple types of costs like tangible costs, which can be measured in dollars with certainty. Then there are intangible costs, which cannot be easily measured in dollars and with certainty. Then there are one-time costs. A cost which is associated with a project, startup and development or system startup, which means that only one time you have to invest in that project. That cost will arise only once in that project, and it is not going to arise again and again. So that is what is meant by one time cost. Now, if we talk about the recurring cost is a cost that is associated with ongoing evolution and use of a system, and it arises again and again at frequent time intervals and sometimes at equal time intervals when the project is going on. And that is why they are called as recurring costs. It is the short form of reoccurring, I mean the merged form of reoccurring costs, which keep occurring at frequent time intervals, right? So let us now discuss about the possible is project costs, like the procurement costs, startup cost, project related costs, and the operating costs, which are associated at the start or initiation or the start of the projects, right? So, what is this procurement cost? This is basically, when you are trying to procure something for functioning in a project, then it is called as a procurement cost. For example, any kind of consultancies payment that is done when you are trying to procure any equipment, when you are trying to prepare a website for your project, when you are investing any kind of capital, when you are investing money, time and management in a project, then all these things would be included in the procurement cost. After procurement cost, the next type of cost is the startup cost. So, what are these startup costs? They are basically the costs which are required for the initial startup of the project. So, as far as the initial initiation or the startup of the project is concerned, the operating systems that would be required in an organization for functioning of that project, the softwares, the machinery, the equipment, the small little working equipments, handheld equipments like screws, drivers, pliers, gauges, vernier calipers, or anything like that. Then, of course, any kind of communication installments like intercom, or maybe a CCTV camera, any kind of speaker for mass announcements. All these things are also included in the startup cost. Then any kind of personal hiring that is done, organizational disruption that occurs at the time of startup would all be included into the project cost. Then there are project related costs like, if you want any kind of application software, you want any kind of software modifications to be done. Some organizations require some particular type of software according to their needs. So what they do is they get those softwares custom created by the software industries or the programmers who can actually create such softwares. So in that case, those software modifications are also actually done on chargeable basis, and organizations have to pay for that. So these are also project initiation costs that are, project related, and they are incurred at the time of initiation of the project only. Then of course, then comes the personal overheads. They are also project related because the personnel that is hired or the HR that is hired is directly working in the project, so that is also a project related cost. Then once your HR is hired, you also need to, train them, or maybe, you know, give them some, make them acquainted with some particular types of skill sets, software skills, or anything like that. So all that training which is departed to those employees is also an expenditure on the part of the organization. So that also comes under project related cost. After that, of course, any kind of data analysis or documentation that is done would also be incurred under the project costs, project related costs. So I have explained you what is procurement cost, what is startup cost, and what is project related cost. After that, we will move ahead towards operating costs, which include, while the project is going on or the processes are carried out in the project. So any kind of system maintenance that is required, any kind of rents that are supposed to be paid by the organization, asset depreciation that is occurred, like you have purchased a machinery of somewhere around 25 lakh rupees and invested, installed them in your organization. So just like any automobile that you buy for your personal use, machines also get depreciated. Their value or their actual price keeps reducing along with the time that passes by. Now, why that reduces? It is very obvious, because when the machinery is in use, obvious wear and tear is occurring of the machine, and slowly the machine starts becoming obsolete. Sometimes the technology becomes obsolete, or maybe the machineries become um, rusted, old, unused, or overused, or it could be any reason of the depreciation of the machinery. And then lastly, you know the operating cost that is also involved in this type of cost would be the system, or sorry, operation and planning part cost. Because if any kind of problem occurs during the time of operation and planning, the cost which is occurring because of that, there are some humans which are involved in operation and planning. So all those humans who are working, all the software that is required for that planning purpose, anything that is included in that operation and planning part would actually be a source of cost for, operating costs, be a operating cost source. So I hope that you've understood what are these possible project costs that an organization will have to bear once they undertake any type of project. So, like, if we just want to talk about the one time cost. So now we will be discussing these one-time costs. What kind of, on the same example that we had taken earlier, customer side tracking system. So if we are working on a project of a customer tracking system, then what kind of costs can be arise? So one-time costs specifically. So when account is shown over here, like there could be any kind of development costs of the softwares, any kind of new hardware that is involved, any kind of newly purchased software, like packaged application softwares or any other type of softwares, any kind of user training that is required for running those softwares or the hardware, any kind of website preparation that is done if a new mobile application is supposed to be developed for the same purpose. So all these would be the one-time costs that are imbibed in the project. So now let us move ahead and discuss the recurring costs. So these recurring costs, as I told you, are the costs which keep reoccurring time and then, sometimes at equal time intervals, sometimes the frequency and the time interval at which they are going to occur cannot be predicted. So it could be anyways, like for example, the raw material cost would be something that would occur at frequent and known time durations, right? But any other kind of supplies would might or might not be known as whether at what time their requirement might occur. So now if the same case is considered of customer tracking system, then the application software maintenance is a recurring cost. Incremental data storage required, like suddenly you require more data storage on your cloud and you need to buy some more data, then you know that storage cost would be a recurring cost. Incremental communications, that are required, new software or hardware leases that you are supposed to set up while the project is going on, any kind of other supplies that are required by the organization, like maybe A4 size sheets for taking out printouts, cartridge refilling in the printers. Printer is a one time cost, but cartridge refilling is a recurring cost. The papers required for printouts is a recurring cost. The internet connections rentals is a recurring cost. So, as far as your financial measurements are concerned for economic feasibility, there are three main measures of economic feasibility. I'm sure that all of you, not most of you, but all of you must be very well versed with it, because you must have studied in one subject or the other, at least in none other than, you must have studied it in accounts. What are these terminologies in accounts and in financial management? So I'm not telling you anything new. You all are already aware of them. I'm just giving you a refresher brush up of knowledge. So the three main measures are the net present value (NPV). You use discount rate to determine the present value of cash outlays and receipts here. Then there is ROI, which is return on investment. So ratio of cash receipts to the cash outlays would be the return on investment. And then there is break even analysis, where you actually try to find out the amount of time which is required for cumulative cash flow to equal initial and outgoing investment. So these are the three main measures of economic feasibility of any project. And as far as your after economic feasibility, we also have to discuss the operational feasibility of the project. So operational feasibility basically determines, whether your human resources are able to operate the system once it has been installed in your organization or not, right? So that is what is operational feasibility. Sometimes it also happens that you have set up the deadlines so irrelevantly that your employees who are working are not actually able to give their 100% and complete the project in time. They're not able to give their 100% because of maybe the management's policies. Sometimes the employees are super suppressed, sometimes the timings are very irrelevant of the functioning of the organization. But that doesn't happen now, because these days organizations have very well understood the correct policies of human resource management. But still, the main type of operational feasibility analysis that you all have to do is to determine whether your human resource will be able to operate a particular machinery which has the latest technology or not. Or maybe, once any new system or any new software or application has been installed in your organization, whether your human resource will be able to work upon it or not. That is what is operational feasibility. So users that do not want a new system may prevent it from, becoming operationally feasible actually, because there are some human resource which are very reluctant towards the, changes that are occurring in the organization. They have high reluctance, or I should say repulsion towards the, new technological advancements, because they don't want to learn anything new. Whereas there might be some employees who are very keen to learn the new things, and where they are very, very interested in learning those new things. So that there could be anyways, you know, the users that do not want a new system, who are preventing from becoming an operational feasibility. One has to analyze their behavior very carefully, and you have to make the employees understand the reason why they need to be technologically sound. Because, suddenly COVID time came, and we had to switch from our regular offline classes to the online version of classes. Not only me, but the entire world had to do it. And in fact, everybody had to change their way of working. So, they had to learn all the new systems, the new methodologies of class conductions, new methodologies of working from home. And that is what is actually, meant by technological advancements. So if an employee is not ready to learn the latest technology, then obviously he will try very hard to prevent it from becoming an operationally feasible project, so that it is declared that this project is not feasible operationally and it cannot be brought into action. So these types of things keep happening, right? So there are other feasibility concerns also that you should know. For example, the schedule, whether the project's deadlines or timeline chart that has been created, which we also call as Gantt chart, and I had shown it to you at the almost maybe the first or second session of project management. I had shown it to you. So, all those charts are thoroughly supposed to be created also, and revised also, reread and revised. Because, from that you can actually find out whether the project is it is feasible to complete the project within the set time frames or not. And of course, the completion dates can be met by your organizational or project team or not. So this is what is the schedule concern. Then of course there are legal and contractual concerns also. Like, what are the legal and contractual ramifications of the proposed system or the development of the project, that has to be analyzed very keenly. And then comes your third point, wherein, you are trying to do a feasibility analysis on the political concerns of the society. Like, how do the key stakeholders view the proposed system, whether there are any agencies who can bring a stay on our project just by declaring it environmentally hazardous or maybe unfriendly. Or it could be any multiple reasons, and any which way, political actions might be taken. Some of your activities might not be considered legal, or maybe, you are caught in any kind of bribery or anything, just to get the work completed or within time. So, how do the key stakeholders are actually viewing this proposed system is also another very important feasibility concern. So with this, I have told you what are the other feasibility concerns when you are trying to, actually implement a project. Once that part is done, you come up to the activity planning part. So activity planning basically includes selecting a systems analysis team, right? Then you have to estimate the time which is required to complete each and every task. And there are some tools also for that, for planning and control, which you will be studying in depth in the upcoming sessions when we move ahead with the further sessions of project management. So those tools are none other than the Gantt chart, the PERT and CPM techniques, right? So now let us talk about the estimation of time. Like, how do you actually estimate time so that your time limits which are set are not irrelevant or unthoughtful? They do not seem to be unthoughtful at all. So these things are supposed to be considered here. Say, for this purpose, the project is basically broken down into different phases. Further, the project is broken down into tasks or the activities, and finally, the project is broken down into steps or even smaller units. If you remember, you are very well versed with WBS and then the work packages that lie under the WBS, and the activities which lie under each and every work element or work package. The project is broken down into those activities, and then the time is estimated for each task or activity. Most likely pessimist or optimist estimates for time may be used in deciding the time factor of the completion of the project, right? So I hope all of you must be remembering that when these estimates were supposed to be made, initially when I was telling you about how to make these estimates, I had introduced you to the Gantt chart, which there was a chart which used to show the startup time and the ending time of each and every activity or the element of the work package. Then there are this is an example of the Gantt chart also, which is given over here. You can understand it very easily. And then there is a Pert diagram also. Pert's full form is Program Evaluation and Review Technique. So Pert diagrams basically show the precedence activities that must be completed before the next activities can be started. Once a diagram is drawn, you know it is possible to identify the critical path or maybe the longest path through which the activities actually move. So then of course, PERT also includes monitoring critical path will which identifies the shortest time to complete the project and all these things. This is an example of the PERT diagram also, in which they are showing a completed PERT diagram for the analysis phase of a system project. So with this, we have come to an end of today's session. I hope that the session was pretty informative for all of you and you must have thoroughly enjoyed the session. If there is any query that you have regarding the session that I've just taken, you may leave your queries in the message boxes, and I would be definitely very happy to solve your queries and share my learning material with you people. So with this, I am officially closing this session. This is Dr. Swati Mishra from International School of Business Management at Suresh Ganviad University, Jaipur, signing off. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.